If any of you have been watching my videos and following me like online and stuff, you know that I have a big love for the Fantastic Four. It is a love that I've been growing for the past few years as I've been reading more about them and learning about them, and I absolutely love these characters. And I have been excited for the new movie, Fantastic Four First Steps. Not only is it the first Fantastic Four film we've had since 2015, also the first Fantastic Four film in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, something that people have been wanting for a long time. And much like other people, I was cautiously optimistic. Everything that we had seen, or at least most of everything that we had seen, was looking really good for this movie. But there's always that fear that it might not be good because of like the previous cinematic attempts from the Fantastic Four before, and also because some of the recent MCU movies have been, we'll say, hit and miss. Some hits, some misses, and the misses have been not that great. But regardless, I'm still looking forward to this movie, and I'm glad to say that now, after having seen it last month, sorry that this came out kind of late, I can say I think it was really good. Not without its flaws, but I ended up really liking it. So the thing about this movie is that it doesn't take place in the regular Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've been following. No, it actually takes place in another dimension. Ooh. Fantastic Four live outside of the MCU that we know so far, and they live in this retro, futuristic 60s environment where everything like has that 60s look to it, but it still feels like futuristic, and it's honestly really cool. It was one of my favorite parts about the movie, just like seeing this world, and I genuinely think this was a really good decision where they could fit in the Fantastic Four without having to kind of force them into what had already been established in the MCU, or even having to have them start out new, like after all this other stuff was introduced. Like, it would feel kind of weird if the Fantastic Four have existed after Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Hulk and all that stuff. So having them be in this new universe, not only does it allow for them to naturally bring in the Fantastic Four, I think it also allows for audiences to kind of go in and go like, okay, I don't feel like left out like I do with some other MCU movies. Like, this one feels like a nice, like a standalone from everything else, and I genuinely think that was a good idea, and it worked for the most part. And like I said, I genuinely like this world that they set up, seeing like just how the Fantastic Four helped develop a lot of the technology that you see here, and just how famous they are in this world. It all looks cool. I'm a big fan of this like retro 60s future that they have here. It's like honestly really cool. Also, the music by Michael Giacchino is incredible. Like, first of all, I was so excited when they announced Michael Giacchino was doing the score for this, because he is like my favorite film composer, and he did a fantastic job in here. The music is incredible. What's also incredible is the cast. Yes, I think the cast is really good. Some people had their doubts, specifically with Pedro Pascal as Reed. I personally never think he would do a bad job. I was just like, all right, I'm excited to see what that turns out, what that looks like, and here we have it. And I think the whole cast, from Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, I hope I said that right, I don't think I did, and Joseph Quinn as the main four, I think did a fantastic job, and I genuinely saw them as these characters. I was like, okay, that's definitely Reed, that is Sue, that is Ben, that is Johnny, even if they did change some things up about Johnny, which I'll talk about a bit later, but for the most part, I think they did good. When they were together, I felt like they were the characters, and I felt like they really did a good job of emphasizing the family aspect of them. Like, when I saw them together, they genuinely felt like a family, which is something that I think the previous Fantastic Four adaptations, mainly the 2000s films and the 2015 film, the biggest thing that they have failed to do is, well, a lot of things, but one of them is the fact that these characters are supposed to feel like a family. And this time, I think they definitely do. I love the way they interact with each other. I like the relationship between Reed and Sue in here, and how it kind of goes through some strains here and there because of like everything kind of going on around them, but you can tell they still want to do what's best for the other. And I also like the occasional bickering between Ben and Johnny. I like the stuff that they do with Susan and Johnny as well in here. I really like the brother-sister dynamic between those two. And yeah, I could just go on. I think these genuinely have been the best live-action portrayals of these characters. So I also have to mention Paul Walter Hauser as Mole Man, who, while he isn't in the movie a lot, I genuinely thought he did a really good job in here. I wish I could have seen more of him, honestly. His Mole Man was really good. I gotta mention the main antagonist of the film, Julia Garner as Shali Ball, aka Silver Surfer, and Alf Ineson, I don't know how to say his name, I'm sorry, as Galactus. These two are definitely great. While Galactus isn't in the movie as much as I would hope for, I genuinely think he felt like a big and menacing presence. And I think this version of Silver Surfer, while a lot of us wanted the other version of Silver Surfer that we know from the story they're adapting, I still think Shelley Ball was a good choice for this. I think the stuff they did with her and Johnny Storm, I think is really interesting, which I'll get into a bit later. But I do like them in this movie. I think they were really good and good antagonists for this film. Also, Herbie was in the movie, and I like that a lot. I like Herbie. This movie had a lot of great moments, both character moments and big, like, comic book sci-fi moments in there. Some of the best moments are the moments where the Fantastic Four are just kind of talking to each other, whether they're having, like, trouble figuring out what to do and how to defeat Galactus, or them just kind of hanging out with each other and being a family, or them being, like, celebrities. I think those were genuinely good moments. Like, the first act of the film, like, the first, like, 40 minutes or so, are, like, fantastic, I think. It really helps sell this world, these characters, the big thread of the film, and it's overall incredible. This is the movie. It's still really good, but you do notice a bit more problems, which I'll get to in a bit, but it's still really solid. I think there's so many incredible moments, like the big introduction to the Fantastic Four that we're given. We're seeing that, like, is essentially like kind of like a montage that is about, like, hey, this guy on a popular TV show explaining the backstory of the Fantastic Four, and then we see a lot of their grand moments. I think it's honestly really cool just seeing them in action. Like, it's like a great way to introduce these characters to new people who might not know them, and also just kind of showcase, hey, this is what they've done before. And it's honestly really cool. It made me so happy. Honestly, it made me really giddy. I was like, oh my god, it's all the cool Fantastic Four stuff that I've been wanting. Oh my god, I was kind of geeking out a bit. The initial introduction to Galactus is so good. Like, once you see him, you get a really big sense of just how big he is and, like, just how much of a big threat he's gonna be, and, like, it's honestly incredible. I just felt kind of, like, amazed when I saw that at the movie theater. I'm like, oh my god, bro, I might have to check this out in IMAX if I get the chance. Like, legitimately, it's really cool. And I also really like the stuff they do, like I mentioned earlier, with Silver Surfer and Johnny Storm in this. You can tell that they're, like, trying to do a sort of romance with them, where Johnny feels like he actually has, he has a bit of a crush on Silver Surfer. People are saying this is the reason they changed Surfer to female in this, to the female version, and, so they could have this romance with Johnny. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, I say they're cowards. They should have stuck with the male version and still kept the Johnny Storm romance subplot. Just make him in all seriousness. If that is the case, I don't think I entirely hate it, because I think they were generally really good in this. Johnny and Silver Surfer are given one of the best moments in the entire film in the later part of it, and it's like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, I think those two are really good. And yeah, I think they have good moments. Overall, the movie generally has some really cool comic book sci-fi moments and good character moments. The main issues that come from the movie are the fact that you can definitely tell some things were cut out. This was something that was brought, I remember coming up a few times before the release of the movie, like saying, oh, some things had to be reshot, or, oh, this one villain, Red Ghost, was supposed to appear in the beginning of the film, but he was cut out. One of his apes still appear in this, but not him or the other two apes. And honestly, I thought that was kind of disappointing. And you could definitely tell, like, yeah, things were cut out. There's some original characters for this film that don't really do that much in this, and it kind of feels like they were supposed to do more, but, because of that, they're just kind of there. Like, for example, there's this character played by Natasha Lyonne, who is supposed to be the Thing's love interest in this. And they have a few moments here and there, and they're nice. I like Natasha Lyonne. I just think that they don't really do much with it, to the point where in the last scene where they bring it up, I forgot that they were supposed to have a thing, I guess. But yeah, that felt kind of odd, I think. I actually would have liked to see more Fantastic Four villains just kind of appear. Mole Man is in this, and I think that's great. And the stuff they do with Mole Man later on in the movie, I think is a really good inclusion of him. But also, a moment where they reference other villains, like, oh, there's the Mad Thinker, there's the Puppeteer, there's, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, it would have been nice to kind of see them, even if you got, like, small, like, character actors to kind of play them, and just be, like, this quick moment where, like, the Fantastic Four are just fighting them in, like, the opening montage. I think that would have been nice, too. Just, like, actually see them instead of just being told, like, oh, yeah, they exist in this world. But, maybe that's just a me thing. I just like saying there's Fantastic Four has some really good villains, and I kind of wish we saw more of them. In fact, that wish to see more Fantastic Four villains also kind of adds to, like, the other thing that kind of keeps me from saying this movie is perfect. This time, it's more of just, like, a personal me thing. Because when something adapts a thing that we like, there's always going to be those small things that we're all like, oh, yeah, that's cool. But I personally would have done it a bit better. It doesn't automatically mean it's bad. It just means that there's just some things that I personally like that I would have, like, wish they had kept. Like, for example, I mentioned that I like what they do with Johnny here. I think Johnny is great in this, but they did kind of get rid of, like, his whole, like, hey, he's like he flirts with women all the time, he's kind of immature, and while that's still sort of in here, it is downplayed a lot more. And while he's still, like, liked by a lot of women, he doesn't really interact with them, except for, Silver Surfer, like I said. And I don't know, I always thought that was kind of like a funny thing about his personality before, that he was kind of cocky in that way. And I wish they found a way to keep that, but I'm kind of okay with it still, because he's still given some of the best moments in the film and is able to actually help out a lot in this. Like, the way he's actually able to use his intelligence to help out with the others is genuinely really cool. I wish they had kept Alicia, the love interest for Ben in the comics. Again, I'm not the most bothered by it, because I think Natasha Lyonne is charming for what we see, and my main issue with that plotline is just that I would have liked to have seen more of it. See if this is something like, hey, maybe I could grow to like Natasha Lyonne's character enough to go like, she's a good love interest for Ben, even if we can't have Alicia Masters. And earlier, like, I just really liked the story of Galactus in the original Fantastic Four comics, so I really would have wished they kept that original Silver Surfer instead of Shali Ball, but Shali Ball is still a good Silver Surfer in this, and I like what they do with her. So like I said, a lot of these last few issues that I've been mentioning are more just me things, like, oh hey, I just personally like these way it was before a little bit more than how it is now, but what we have now is still really good. While Fantastic Four First Steps has its flaws, I still think it was really good. I'd even say it's pretty fantastic. I am so excited to see people genuinely get excited to see this movie and see more of these characters. This and their inclusion in Marvel Rivals earlier this year have really helped strengthen the Fantastic Four fan numbers, and seeing more people online talking about how great their stories are, how great these characters are, and get excited for this movie and their inclusion in the MCU just makes me so excited as like a fan. Yeah, I'm excited to see them done right. While this movie has a few flaws, I still think it was really good, and I'm excited to see not just how they use these characters in the upcoming MCU films like Avengers Doomsday, I guess. I'm not the most excited for Doctor Doom. Let's hope they do that right. I'm also excited to see the Fantastic Four get the respect that they really deserve and get the love that I think they really deserve. So yeah, if you haven't seen the film, I say go check it out. I think it's a good introduction to the Fantastic Four if you don't know who they are. And if you like the Fantastic Four, I think you'd like this movie too. Anyway, yeah, bye. I don't know how to end this.